How are you guys all doing this evening? Hope you guys are all doing well. What I'm getting ready to do here right from the jump, I'm getting ready to post this link in here because I want any of the ladies who are considered to be a modern woman to jump on board. So, with that being said, let me get ready to do something right here, real quick. Um, and we're gonna see how this goes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I had a bunch of responses that came in through email per se, but I didn't have too many of those responses respond as if they were going to come on. So let's see. This, I'm making sure I pick this in caps lock. This link is for women who consider themselves modern. Okay. Oh men. No men allowed on the panel for now. Oh, am I swirling? There we go. I'm getting ready to post that. And I'm gonna go from there. Okay. Let me put it right there. And let me put it right here for the ones in the back. And I'm getting ready to let's see here. I'm going to pin this, and I hope people uh pay attention to that. Again, that link right there is for any ladies or women out there that consider themselves to be what they call the modern woman. And yep, I am serious, Bribo. I am serious. So if anybody try to pop on the link, I get to see you in the background. If you are a man and you're going to come on here, I am not going to bring you up yet. I said that this is what I'm having up here for now, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. Mr. Humbleman said he identifies as a woman tonight. Yeah. What's going on, Alexandria? But I'm not going to lie to you guys. I highly doubt that I get any of them to come in here. I got most of my responses thus far have come from people who are on, I'm just being real, they're on the keyboard and they're emailing you. I am a modern woman and this is why, blah, 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 blah. But then they will not come up here on the panel. So that's why I'm telling you guys, look, I'm not, I don't want, I don't want them to take it like I'm saying I'm calling them out or anything like that. But that's just what it is. Somebody trying to get in the back. Chris, I don't know if you are a man or if you are a woman. I do not know, but it said your device is not connected. And the only way I'm going to be able to let you come through here, you definitely going to show who you are. So if you are a woman and you're trying to jump on here, you're going to have to cam up. I'm going to have to see who you are in this green part back here. But again, this right here says, for Chris, this says that your device is not connecting, whatever like that. So, but guys, I'm not gonna lie. If nobody is going to jump on these modern women, whoever they are, I hope that I'm not gonna keep y'all long. I'm going to move on and go on somebody else's panel. This says Christina says device is not connected, is what it says. So I don't know what's going on with you, Christina, but it says your device is not connected. So I don't know if there's an internet issue or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and read some of these comments off here from some of you guys that are in here. I'm gonna say your name, Kez, because I know what they're saying. Said it makes me appreciate my family more, knowing other people don't know what it's like to grow up around intelligent and successful women. People who don't believe in the power of women only know poor, trashy women. Whereas those who grew up with moms are CEOs, lawyers, directors, breadwinners. Some are more than their husbands. The term modern woman is normal for us. Don't know what that means, but I don't know if you are a woman or not, Kez, but it would be awesome if you were able to pop up on the channel if you were a woman, because I want to hear from women. I don't want to hear from men. I already know what enough men think about the modern woman or whatever like that. But I want to hear from the thoughts of these women considering themselves modern. Mr. Dante says, good evening, Ty. Identify as a woman tonight, and I'm coming on. What, your period? No, I'm just Alexandra said, hey, Bribo says, are you serious? Yes, I am. And the land more than small says, I'm here. What you need? Oh, I forgot. You did respond and say you're not a modern woman, though. So Let's see. Mama Carol says nowadays women don't know what modern is. As I do, I steer clear from it. Carol says mine is working fine. I don't know what you're talking about, Carol. If you're talking about your internet or something like that, then if you're talking about jumping on, if you consider yourself to be a modern woman, then the links are in the links is posted. If you click on the link, you can jump on because I want to hear from you guys, but I doubt if I do. Admiral Six Killer says permanently suspended from Twitter for offending an atheist. Which religion, race, sexual orientation is that again? None. Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Maybe you can just try to plead your case there. Nothing's changed. The left still say what they want, but if you respond, you get flagged. We got Mother J from St. Louis in the house. Mother, I doubt if I get anybody. I had maybe anywhere close to 100 some emails that came in of these people saying that they're women, and they saw the thing that I posted and were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to chime in and jump up on the panel. But here we are, we almost 5 minutes in here and none of them come on here. And guys, I told y'all again, I know this might be a little upsetting to you guys, but what if they do not jump on or anything like that, I am not going to keep this stream up. I know that some of y'all will want to talk, but what I'm saying is for is because I've been on a lot of panels and it's a good chance I will be going on some other panels later on tonight. But it just for the last, I would say definitely the last month or so, I've been learning a whole lot about these so-called modern women, and a lot of the people that I'm hearing this from are the men. I'm not look, Mother J said, no, I wasn't looking forward to hearing from them. Oh, I got you. Because I remember the other day when you were up here talking, you said you wanted the people that like to chill in the back. You say you really don't care about necessarily jumping on panels, whatever like that. You kind of like to chill in the back and listen to like what people are talking about, which is really cool, you know, that you have that. But I get it. And I know you said, she said, yeah, oh no, not looking forward to hearing from them. Well, you know what? It's a good chance that you won't hear from them, Mother J. You probably won't hear from them because some of them wrote me and said, oh, I checked out your channel and X, Y, and Z, and you know, I see what you're about, and it seemed like it kind of scared them off. Hold on, because this person in the background named Christina. Let me try to check something out here, y'all. Christina, I see you up here, and it seemed like you have a good connection, but I am not letting you jump on if you're not showing yourself. I'm not about to get trolled. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I'm just not about to get trolled. I've seen some things that's been happening when people get on this, but I'm not about to get trolled. So you're gonna have to show me who you are and give me the peace sign or something like that, and then you can flip your camera back off. So Christina, nobody can see you. The only person that can see you right now, Christina, is me. Nobody on the internet can see you. So if you press the button to make your camera show me who you are, you give me the peace sign so I can see that you are a real person, real woman, then I'll bring you on. But other than that, I'm not going to bring you up. Let's see here. What is a modern woman? I'm 100% woman with 6 wonderful kids, and I also work, clean, run the house, run my household while my husband works. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. Carol says, my opinion of a modern woman is women that are smart enough to make their own way, strong enough in their own beliefs to partner up with a man with the same qualities. Kirk says, are you referring to the modern old school biological women, the new self-identifying kind? Bird lady, what's going on? My sister says, that's right. Make them cam up. Christina doesn't seem like she's trying to. And Gondorian Slayer says, I guess women don't exist. Well, these modern women that they're talking about don't. And I mean, it's sad because I had a lot of people that wrote in saying, oh, this is what it's to consist of, and da. But again, none of them are up here right now. The Social says, modern women is independent, strong. Your value doesn't depend on a man. Greg says, typical women, they just want to talk behind your back. Oh, throwing shots. I don't know. Everyone should jump off of TikTok and delete the app. What's going on, Fatal, my moderator? How you doing, sis? Again, we are almost 8.5 minutes in, and there are no modern women that wants to jump on board. And the reason why I made this video is because I wanted to hear from the modern women, guys, and I didn't want to have people jumping on here and being what we consider to be an echo chamber where all of us are saying the same thing but just in different perspectives. I wanted to hear from them, and I even wrote it in a way said it's like non-threatening. I literally want to hear what they have to say and why they think the way that they do, and if it's from a place of someone teaching them and telling them to do that, or this is what they actually desire to do in their heart. It's just some different questions I want to ask them about that. So look at what Fatal said. Good, I'm a modern woman, darn it. You far from that, girl. You know you not one of them. You got your stuff going on, but your attitude and how you are, Fatal, you are nothing like this, what these guys were saying. Let's see. Somebody said, just like Mr. Kevin Samuel said, they can get a pet and go from there. Oh, man. Well, y'all, it's going to be about a good 10 minutes. And 10 minutes usually is the marker where a lot of people are getting notified and jumping in. But I really do not think we're going to get any of them to come on. Ashley says, I'm going to get home millennial mom and take care of my family. Is that modern enough? No, see, these people that they're talking about as far as these modern women go, these guys on the panel describe these women as something else. And so the reason why I wrote it up on my community tab is because I was saying that, to me, I'm not saying that they are not real, but I'm looking at them as like there's some type of thing that does not even exist. Like it's a myth, it's a fable, it's made up, it's like folklore, it's like Santa Claus and all that. I hope y'all kids ain't watching, but it's like all of that. These guys talk about these women, and I'm just being honest. I'm not talking about these guys talking about them as if they're doing it in a bad way, which some of them are, a lot of them are, but they talk about them in such a way like they exist, that they can just pull these women out like these. Y'all know what I'm saying? It's almost like it's a rumor that everybody seemed to have jumped on and believed, to the extent to where they know they exist. They've seen them, these women out here, but yet all these women that they talk about, and there's nothing against none of the guys that's bringing it up. I get it. I don't see none of these women. I have not seen any of them pop up in those panels. I have not seen any of those women get up there and do any of the things that I hear a lot of these panels are talking about. And it's nothing against the panels at all. Again, Christina, you are in the background, and I'm not going to bring you up because you're not showing me who you are. So I'm not going to bring you up, Christina. I'm just not going to do that. So when it comes down to it, what you hear is that most of y'all know that modern women is supposed to be considered like these women who's supposed to be strong, independent, don't need a man, that type of attitude. Y'all all have heard that before. And on top of that, if they do get a man, it's supposed to be with these, what they call the sixes. He's supposed to be at least 6 feet tall, make 6 figures, and have 6 inches of man part down there is what they say. Right. But at the same time, from these different panels that I've been on, some of you guys have been with me. They saw me on Fight Club or Aaron or JB Prince channel or Cheeky Banner. You guys will notice a lot that I sit back and I listen to some of the things these guys are telling me, right? I listen to some of these women that they're describing. They're like, man, I'm telling you, man, these women out here, they this, man. Hey, man, these women out here, hey, man, these women out here, they ain't trying to. But what's strange to me is that these women that they're talking about, I have not seen none of these women come up on these panels. I have not seen none of these women get up there and combat nothing that they're saying. Now, one might say it's because they're scared, it's because they're whatever. I do not know, but I have to kind of think things out, to think in a way that if these women really are out there and they do exist, the reason why they may not be coming up on a panel because they never really had nobody challenge them. I don't know. But again, it's up there. So Christina, can you give me the peace sign? Okay, I can see you. So Christina, you are a modern woman. You're considered to be a modern woman. So now, Christina, you don't have to now that I'm getting ready to bring you up, you don't have to show your face. Okay. All right. So guys, we can ready to bring up Christina and we're going to go from there. Christina, can you hear me?
Can you hear me first?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi and good evening. This is Christina. I'm so sorry I can't really show up my face because it's really late in UK. It's like 1
Okay.
a.m.
No,
and
that's
I was
fine.
really looking forward for this podcast, and thank you so much first of all. And yeah, first of all, I would say it's a really privilege, and I'm honored to be here because I think is what I will have to share with everybody. It might have a good impact. I can see there are quite a lot of disagreement on being, existing, or not having a woman, modern woman. And you just mentioned something really important. They actually really exist, but they're always either they're too busy with their life to come on the podcast, and not everybody knows about this type of podcast. And I just found out through the internet about yourself. Um, and we are quite a lot of modern women, great ladies, independent. You mentioned something early on, like that woman that is independent, that she knows her values, that she knows her own place, either in professional and in um, private life, and there exists quite a lot. I'm in one of the biggest and the greatest modern women's society here in
You said
UK.
that you're one of the biggest and greatest modern women of the society right now.
I cannot say about this about myself. I like.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said I thought I heard you say I'm one of the biggest, greatest modern women. Okay. Okay.
I said I am part of one of the greatest and biggest, let's say, modern women club in London. And I'm actually privileged because I learned quite a lot from these circles, and I understand that we all have values and we are actually part of those modern women that, men think we are not exist, but actually we do exist. And I tell you just very simple how. We kind of know our values. We are very independent. Like someone like myself, I am very independent. I don't like to depend on anything and anybody. So everything what is about my personal and career life is what I'm building, what I'm constructing, because I know my values, because I know I had an amazing background education. I'm from East Europe, by the way, Romania. And the reason I love to live in London because it gives me quite a lot of opportunity, but it's not just because of opportunity, it is because of the culture on itself that integrate everybody.
Are you can you do something for me real quick? The audience is saying that they can hardly hear you. Are you able to kind of get closer to your mic or turn your volume up? They can't hear you really well.
1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, but as you can go ahead and continue. And while you're talking, if the audience still say that your volume sound low, I'll just let you know. But you can go ahead and continue on.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry because it's really late in UK now. It's 1 a.m. So I'm trying just, to keep my voice at a reasonable sound so I don't disturb my neighbors. I live in a flat currently. And, it's very important. So I don't know if the audience heard what I said because of the volume. Just clarifying, I just wanted to say that actually I see quite a lot of disagreement, quite a lot of, let's say, especially gentlemen out there, they are very disappointed because, but there are numerous reasons why a gentleman is disappointed. Either he never met someone real, or either he been in a different circle where all what he saw was just, those type of ladies, unfortunately, that they just want material things. But the modern women, they really exist. And I am part of one of the greatest, let's say, modern women's club in London. And it is just amazing. We organize in advance. It's called Women in Power. And we learn from each other. We are very independent. We have our great values. We conduct our private life and professional life in an amazing manners. And we know where we stand for.
Did you say you guys are amazing mothers?
I said women's.
I'm sorry, say that again. You're what? Amazing what?
Women's.
Okay, amazing, like women.
And mothers too. We have mothers too on the group as well. And there is not such a difference. Like I didn't see none of the ladies in our club that they make any kind of difference. We all want to help. We all want to empower each other. We all come with an advice. But there are very specific, let's say, characteristic like I see in each of everybody. We are extremely independent. Number one, we have high value. We don't make any kind of wrong decision. We integrate everybody. And it's just sad to see out there when I hear this kind of topics, like that's the reason I've jumped on. It's like men think we don't exist, but we do exist. Either we are very busy with our private and professional life, either not many of us know about this kind of podcast because of our especially career commitments, which I think is like my case as well. Um, Now, in terms of being the difference between what you said earlier, like you never saw them, you never hear about them. I think what I've seen lately is that majority, unfortunately, nowadays, there is quite a lot of this kind of running after materialism. So it is really hard for a man to believe that we do exist, probably because they're used to with this type of ladies, that they just like everything with this regard to materialism. They just like to get something out of a man, which unfortunately is really unpleasant. But I cannot say much about it because every woman, such a woman or gentleman, it all depends about the background, the education, about the culture, and it does have quite a lot of influences in our life. So, but at the end of the day, we are free to make choices, right? Uh, we are free to choose a path where we know what we stand or we don't know where we stand. And I think this is the difference between a modern woman and probably I don't even know how to call the other,
Yeah, I
group.
hear you. Like what they call traditional. So okay, you said that earlier. You said that you guys have high value. What do you mean by you have high value? What does that mean?
So in my perspective, having a high value is means know who you are, which to me is the most important thing. If you know who you are, if you know what type of person you are, now I'm speaking in general, but from the lady side. Like for instance, I love coaching, so I'm training myself to become a personal life coach, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be extremely careful at what people's stories are, and if there is anything I think I could suggest or advise, because I might find solution, but it's down to that specific person. How do they want to take the solution? Because solution there are plenty of there, right? Now is I can see there are quite a lot of people they don't really want to exit from the comfort zone, and that this makes a big difference. In terms of high value, I would say first of all knowing who you are, knowing your environment. Choose wisely who are your surroundings, such as friends, such as events, or of course with who you work as well. Yeah, I think is extremely important. And fix your mindset. To me, I think this is extremely important. Is this is what I see in our group, and that desire to growing, but growing in a best way to make a great impact into society. This is what I see a high value, and
Okay,
also
so I have a question, not to cut you off, but okay, so one thing that I kind of thought about here is that a lot of things that's being listed off as considered to be a modern woman, to me that kind of sound like that's something that every human being should have. So I guess what I'm getting at, and I'm not trying to take away from what you said, but like for example, um, when they say that they're strong, they're independent, they can take care of themselves. And when I say this, when I go out and speak in open public areas, when the women say that to me, and I tell them that's the basic essentials of what any human being should be doing once they reach like adulthood. So, you can take a teenage boy, a teenage girl, both of them grow up, they both grow up, they both get jobs, they both become self-sustainable. But I don't know why that is any different from, that to me, that's like, I guess what I'm trying to say, that's like your due diligence. Any human being should want to be independent, shouldn't have to necessarily rely on another person per se if they're by themselves. So I guess when I look at that, I'll just say, so what makes the distinction of what they call the modern woman? I'm still trying to figure out, like, because for example, on this panel, I'll give you an example. On some of the other panels, the men are saying like, you can't get these modern women because these modern women want what they consider a man to be high value. So in your case, you say that you are you're a modern woman. So you do you? I mean, you don't have to tell us because I don't live in the UK, but like, what type of work do you do?
yeah. So first of all, I'm a business student. I just graduated in business, and I love this course because it helps me quite a lot in my career. And one of the reasons I've choose careful what I want to do. I always want to do something to impact the world, but obviously I have to do the work like I was saying, I'm training for a personal life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And answering to your question, if what is the difference between this type of groups? Because you mentioned the group of teenagers. If we look at the aspect of group ages, it's quite important. Teenagers group and my let's say my age group, 30s to 40s, right? So we have from 30s to 40s, we have a quite different background, education, history. And we want to admit or not, it does really make a huge impact in the way we think and take the things further. Now, being modern, we all can be modern or traditional, but choosing exactly, especially with the teenagers, it is a bit more challenging to help them change their mindset because they kind of grow into the technology side. We grow up in less technology evolution, but we adapting. So for the teenagers is kind of I like to say challenge because adapted the teenagers today at being or considering moving towards the modern life. Like, uh, let's say when you come off from your work, for instance, myself, when I finish my study, I just like to have my break. I just like to have that 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes walking or meditation, which I believe is extremely important for myself. And that's really helped me to balance my emotion, to balance my mindset, and think what I have to do next, or just compromise myself to my relaxing mood, which I believe is important. Now also I've learned quite a lot to distance myself from the devices, which to me is not just to me, but I think to many of us who they understand their path, you know we kind of try to make a balance between living online and living our own life. Now we do understand quite well because we have a different role model in our education. Now, with the teenagers, it is they're extremely intelligent, and what I really love about the teenagers, I've personally learned quite a lot from them. But they uh, transit from being online and attached to the devices, and you see all this technology, which is quite good and impressive nowadays. It does have an impact, and it does unfortunately have on the other side an extremely impact on how do they manage taking decision for their life, because you talk about 15, 16, 17 years old, like can they live without technology? And it's quite challenging how they can perceive the life without challenging, you understand, without being a modern, because now everything is cool, everything is okay, all this type of whatever brands, what they want to wear. But we've been in a different um, mindset, educated, like we work, we achieve, and we feel what we work, we all our achievements, our it create our independence. Now, with a teenager, I can see like what is creating independence is more being on the technology and want things. Like, okay, I can do that, I can have that. But those things, what they can do, what they can have, probably is based what you just said earlier. Of course, depend about okay, they have their own jobs, they have their own way of living, but what they don't agree much, or what is probably more challenges, is the transiting from living this kind of I can have what I want slash values is a completely different terms when you have your values, like you're respectful, you honor, you know how to honor somebody, you know how to be grateful, you know how to behave, you know how to reply back, and you know when to step back, all these things we are calling values. Now, you don't come often like in your 40s, let's say, and behave like a teenager. Okay, I can do that, I can do whatever. This, especially this kind of expression, like I hear often, I don't care, I do what I want, I just don't care what my mom say. It's like parents with teenager nowadays, it's really, I think they try to find quite a lot of solution. Now, for them to probably be easiest to make this transit from online. And remember, the online world is nothing compared with the normal world, which just makes it difficult in a way. I think this transit and this online technology world, it makes them realize what is the difference between a modern life and, you know, that kind of, let's say, rushy-washy life, if that makes sense to you.
Right. So okay, so you would say that like right now, so you are definitely somebody that's not interested in being with a man.
So, can I repeat the question, please?
You're not interested in being in a relationship with a man.
I'm not in the rest. Sorry.
Do you plan to be with a man one day? Like in a relationship, married?
Yes, indeed, of course.
Okay. So, but what I'm saying this for is that is do you okay, so you do plan to be married one day, right?
Indeed, yes.
Okay. Now, do you have the type of attitude where you would say, I don't need a man? I do things on my own. And when I do get married, what's his is his and what's mine is mine. I don't need him to do anything for me. Do you have that type of attitude towards going into a marriage?
No, none at all. I think that's the wrong way. Any kind of lady, wherever she is traditional, wherever if she lived a posh life, or her desires or her dreams, I think that's the rule number one. It should never exist, from my
And do
opinion.
okay. Now, um, when you I mean, because I'm not trying to be personal with you or nothing like that, but when
No,
you
it's
do,
okay. As far as I can answer, I'm okay with that.
okay, good deal. So when you finally do start to date a man, or I don't know what your lifestyle is, period, but let's just say because it's supposed to be men and women anyway, so I'm going to assume it's going to be a man. Okay, so when
Correct.
you are going to date a man, what exactly is it that you're going to be looking for in a man? What
That's a
does he
very good
what does he have when you meet him? Because the women today, I'm just saying you're in the UK, but over here, the modern women say they want 6'6". So they just want to be 6 feet tall, making six figures, and have 6 inches of penis.
right. If you're ready to know down, this is the most important question. Like I really like to answer, and it's very transparent because this is who am I, and who knows me loves me for who am I, for what I am, and for all the greatest vices they take, and for what they achieve by the time they know me. So first of all is respect. If that person know how to respect, treat well, behave decently. I'm not saying because we all have different levels. I set up my high level. So until I don't reach that and be comfortable with that high level, because as I said from the beginning, I know there's always something great in everybody. So I've understood what is great in myself. So being a personal life coach for a tremendous amount of people, I need to kind of work extremely at the high value. So I'm towards to that. Now, when it comes to a relation, what I always look at honesty. If there is honesty, if there is decency, if there is reliability, if there isn't that tendency of, you know, all these kinds of manipulation games, I'm kind of an expert on detecting and spotting
Mm-hmm.
manipulators, and I don't agree with that. It has to be honest. It has to be reliable on itself, knowing what he wants. It has to be a very honest person, because to me, I think the most important is be honest, be respectful to yourself, to your parents, mainly to your parents. It has to respect his parents, or at least his sisters, at least his friends. If I don't see that, I'm just not even
Now,
trying to think about it.
now I got to tell you, Christina, from what you're saying right now, you do not sound modern to me. You sound kind of traditional. So we gonna see though. Now, okay, so check this out. Let me ask you something else, Christine. Okay, let's just say you, because everybody have their preferences, right?
Of course.
You know, this guy comes up to you. He's very charming. He's definitely your type. You know, what you say you're in school for right now?
Pardon?
You're in college right now to do what?
I just finished my business degree.
It's just a degree in business, just a general business degree, not like a
Bachelor
MBA.
degree.
Say it again.
Bachelor with honors degree, level 6.
Okay, so now let's just say, you know, you working, you meet this guy, he's very respectable, all those things you just said, and then you ask him, so what do you do? And he say, oh, I work at the bakery.
I, I don't look at the profession on just need to have that type of profession. I don't look at what you need to have. I look who you are. As simple as that. Regardless if it sounds traditional, regardless if it sounds modern, but yes, of course, we all need to have certain expectation, which is normal having an expectation from somebody, because I do have expectation for myself first. But I'm not looking if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer. To me, this is like a little bit of selfishness. Like I have to pick up on somebody what he is. Who you are, to me, is more important. Now, of course, there are levels where you have to be presentable. You need to know what you're saying. You need to know what type of conversation, what type of relation, and all this kind of need to know who you are. Yes, indeed. But I don't choose by what they have. I've never. I actually really disagree. I think it's very disrespectful, especially from a lady, because we are kind of we're supposed to be the role model of society, and that is the society that they are, especially men, they kind of live in uncertainty because they have a huge level of this type of ladies that they think all what they can get, all what you can get is from yourself, because the happiness rely on you. Everything what you can do for yourself rely on you. Now, in terms of relationship, like I think they both should agree on what, like what they say, like the wife should know her place and him should know his place as well. Now, of course, what I see, especially in relation, I've been in a relation, and I think communication is extremely important as well. Like there is an old saying where it says, like, if we sit down and talk, we can understand each other. So if there is a problem, to me, the main thing, let's sit down and talk. It doesn't matter how huge it is, how small it is. Let's just sit down and talk. And the fact that that person understands you and listen to you, that is a big, big advantage for our life, let's say. Now, of course, picking up on, and of course, find solutions as well, because I see quite a lot of, even few of my friends, they try to run off from finding solution. But that is you being smart. Find solution for whatever what it is. It doesn't matter, especially after marriage, after kids, there are a lot of things can come in midway, but the happiness that it creates first it stands in you. And I believe, like in the relation, you was asking me, like, what do I think if it is a way of being selfishness, if especially a lady would come up with this type of attitude. Now, okay, we got married, or we are in a relation, I don't need your help. I don't think it should exist such a way of thinking, because we all need support in a way or not. So it's just adapting. I think the relationship to me is finding your best friend and find solution to the greatest way of living happy.
So okay, let's say this. You start your career, you're doing very good, you're moving up the ladder, you're getting promoted, you meet this guy, and like you said, you said the guy can work in the bread shop. You and this guy have really good conversations. He actually likes working in the bread shop, and you guys talk marriage or something like that, but you are the one that's making the most money. What do you feel about that when it comes to, okay, he just says, okay, well, if I work at the bread shop and you are one of the, I don't know, top executives in business, you make over $100,000 a year, while he only makes $50,000 a year, and you guys want to get married. Would you look at this situation as saying, okay, since he's the man and he's supposed to be traditionally the leader, and he says, I know you make a lot of more money than I do, but this is what we can spend our money on? Do you say, well, no, wait a minute, you only make $50,000, I make $100,000, so the decision is going to be on me because I make the most?
I also don't agree with this type of way of thinking. And the reason is that, like, we can build companies, we can make millions and billions, whatever what we want to achieve. But money comes and go. Happiness is always something we can sustain. I don't look what is his income. If my income is high or not, to me, that's not, because I don't go for what he has. I remember, I'm not the type of person to go, okay, you got this, you are that. Even you have 10 times less below my income. That's not, that should never be a way of thinking. I choose for what he is, for what we can do together, for, the problem solving we can come up, for that relation we want to build, for that happiness that we want to sustain. And yeah, having a career, building up the ladder is not easy. The fact that he understands me, the fact that he respects me, the fact that he never disturbs me, especially when I'm in the meeting, the fact that he's not jealous as well, the fact that he kind of appreciate me as well. There are quite a lot of numbers of things I'm looking at. His personal values, that are more important that whatever, because income is just like in a bank, fluctuating all over, between institution, between your bank's account, between your careers. We can pick up a career, whatever we want to pick. But when you think you find someone really that match your personality and your personal expectation, I think would be the biggest mistake a lady should look at what you're making. Because if a lady would go straight away with this type of thinking, the relation wouldn't be even less than 2 months, I would say. So I totally disagree with that. It's not respectful and it's not honorable as well. We can
Okay.
build up a career together, but the
Now,
most important is how we build up relation.
right, got you. Now, what happens when you have a child and he says, "Okay, um, I would rather have you stay home to be with our child," and you say what to that?
Right, depend. A child has a different um if it's um if it's a way like they can understand, if it is, so I wouldn't say like I agree and disagree, and I tell you why. I think as a lady, being pretty independent, we all want to have our own life work commitment. But when it comes to a child, yes, the child needs her mommy, the child needs attention, and not just mommy, and daddy as well. A child involves both of parents or guardians in this case, right? And I think I don't agree just the fact for a lady to be incorporating house work, but she need to have her own life after a certain period where the child can go to the nursery or school or uh, such as on and on. So I don't agree just the lady have to be catch into the household work. I really don't. I think we need to have our own life as well.
Right. So I guess so. Would you say that if this, let's say you're married to this guy, he makes his $45,000 or $50,000 at the bakery, and he says, "I want you to stay home with our child." So, and if he tells you, if you say, "Well, okay, wait," when you say you want me to stay home with the child, what if he tells you, "No, I only want you to stay home with our child until they're ready to go to grade school"? Would you agree to that, or would you say no? Or I just want to know, what do you think about that scenario? Because if he says to you, okay, if our child goes to grade school, then at least you can go back to work for part-time until the child gets out of school.
Depend about age that the child. If he's, I believe that the child need at least 2 to 4, at least 2 years to be with the mother. It's extremely important that babyish time. Uh, After 2 years old, if they, I would agree, I would try to agree so I can find something to work from home, because let's say if I would be in that position, to me most important is my family, how I get my own time to raise my child, to be involved in the family and create that good moment and give him a good education. To me, that is the most important thing. But then when it comes the part-time discussion after at least 2 years old, I would say at least two, here in UK, we can take the children's from 2 years old onwards and just for a few hours. And still, I would not agree that much with that part time, because within a few hours where the child is in a nursery, there are quite a lot of things to be done, in a household.
I hear you.
So I would agree later on, but I strongly stand on the point where a child needs his mother mainly, of course his father too, but not in terms of raising a child and provide, that love, dedication, that greatest mommy manners. I definitely agree, but not in terms of being in that mindset of daddy wanted me to be just at home. With that, definitely I would not agree. But with the childhood, provide a greatest childhood for the child. Definitely, I do agree with that. Depend
Now,
how we set the conversation.
right. So what I want to throw in there too is that, and it's not to say nothing against you, but because like I said, I do this a lot, so I don't want you to take it like I'm being condescending. But what I always say to people all the time, okay, you don't have any children, right?
I do actually.
You do? Okay. So, okay,
And
what would you know what? This is just a rhetorical question. So what gets me is that I can hear some of these women, right? Some of these women to say things like, "You men don't know what we women go through. We have to push a whole baby out of ourselves. We push babies out. That's painful." And I'll ask a lot of them, "Have you had a baby yet?" No. Well, then what are you talking about? So, oh, they're doing this and saying it because it sounds like it's a good talking point. You don't know what it's like. We women, we got to have kids. We got to push these babies out of us. And I will ask them if they had one. If they tell me no, then you don't know what you're talking about. What you're doing is based off of somebody else's talking point or someone else's experience. But if you haven't experienced it yourself, they can't say with surety what it's like to have a baby. So the only reason why I'm saying is because there are a lot of people that actually, I mean, I'm not going to say her name, but somebody I worked with, she was going to do that same scenario where she said, okay, no, I'm going to have my child and my husband wants me to stay home with our kid, but I'm going to have my kid. I'm going to stay home probably for the first year or two. And then I'm going to put my child in daycare. See, she said it sounded all good until she had the baby. When she had that baby and she put that baby on her chest and that connection was there, it was like that instinct kicked in. I'm not leaving my child in the hands of X, Y, and Z. Da, 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 da. Now, there are some women still that are able to do that. But what happens is that whenever they are away from the child, a lot of mothers constantly have this thing in the back of their mind. I wonder what's going on with my child at school, or they should definitely. I wonder what's going on with my child at school. I wonder what's going on with my child at daycare. And I wonder if my child got hit. What is this bruise on my child's arm? Versus the husband who's very protective. If he sees that, he's ready to go down there and kick the school door in. Who put there? Why does my child have this bruise? Da 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 da. So then it may come more like, this is why I would rather have our child stay at home, because if our child stayed at home, I don't have to worry about why my child got sick or why my child got scratched or why my child got this bruise or this child is bullying my child or are the teachers treating my child wrong in his daycare. So yeah, I just think that all those things right there. And we mentioned childhood. I always say things like, if your child is to have a childhood, how would it be that if you're not there as a parent? So, for example, over here in America, I don't know how it is in the UK, but in America, I think that's why whenever you have children, such as, I mean, a lot of people like myself, blacks, that they have the biggest epidemic of not having fathers in the home, and the fathers don't even come and see the children. We want to know why? Because a lot of times, as a man, if you sit there, you have to be in the presence of your kids. Your natural instinct, knowing that that is your blood, your natural instinct is to want to take care of them. So if they are not in their children's face at all, they don't have to see them. They only may see them once every 4, 5, 6 months. It's easier because if they stayed in that child's presence, that natural instinct to want to protect them and take care of them kicks in, so they don't want to face it. So I think like a lot of times, like in today's world, that I'm just saying, and I'm not saying you, because honestly, Christina, you sound more like a traditional person than you are modern. I mean, I get that I get that you're going for the career and everything, but you said you have children, which is great and all. But I just think that the ones that specifically, especially ones that sounds like here over in America, a lot of things is based off of big talking points. Like they say, this is what they want. This is what they want to do. I don't want any kids yet. I'm going to start my family when I'm in my 40s. I'm going to find another man who's making the same amount of money as I am. And I'm not about to work. I'm not about to date no guy that's working like at, Lowe's or, the department store or the home department store. I'm not going to get with a man. I don't care how nice he is. I don't care how good looking he is. I don't care if he's a great guy, great personality, all the traits I like. If he's not making this amount of money, I'm not getting with that guy.
Right, you raised quite a lot of points here, so I'm just going to take it from the beginning. First,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned problems that comes from a mother, right? So as a mother, I would say the question, I was just going to answer a question. Why mother would complain? If she have the right support, if she have that type of good man, good husband, why she would complain? She would never find something to complain, first of all. That is first thing what comes into my mind. Secondly, I totally agree with whatever what can happen in the school. We remember we was kids as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like we can, it's natural being protected, overprotected sometimes, yes. But if the relationship between the mother and the father is a healthy relationship, we don't get stuck in this old mindset like what happened. Like I think it is over complicate certain things. If you something happened at school with a child, is at a certain point we like it, we don't want to accept it or no. There are things can happen daily with ourselves as well. We have to accept it. I'm not going to go into my child's school and say, okay, why this happened? Because any type of accident, I mean, general, it can happen. So I don't see the reason that we can overload it. First of all, I don't know about your system in America. I have some friends, but we don't speak much about that, mainly because we talk about professionalism. Now, in UK, schools are extremely well protected. Safety and security is a high level. Whatever what has happened, we are notified. And the members of staff, especially where my kids are, they're amazing. I have never, since my child went to the school, I have never, they give me so much comfort, like nothing compared with East Europe countries. It's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different way of education. Like I'm actually so happy and comfort, and like I kind of understand how dedicated the members of staff are here, and I'm really pleased with that. I've learned so much from them as well. And in meantime, while they're at school, I can allow myself to grow in my profession, as you just very well say. Now, I don't see why I would complicate it. I don't see it because we have to understand, like every each of us, we do our own work. I think it's extremely disrespectful to go into the school for any kind of whatever bruise can happen. I see as complicated, as simple as that. And either the parents they fix their mental issue, their own way of thinking, and become a modern. You mentioned a few times I'm not a modern based on what you think because we're just talking about one thing. Maybe the other topics we haven't discussed further. Now, if yes, it's not the most easiest thing. I see quite a lot of singles moms here. It's not the easiest thing in the world to raise a child on your own. But as a mother, I can say only one thing. I'm a privileged, honored, and the happiest mom in the world. I'm very happy. I overcome so many challenges. I don't mind things what they say, what they do, because all what I can see in them, raise them as the best ability, see what are the greatest let's say desires and support them. So a child needs support, even if you from one side, even if you have family members involved, a child needs support. Now I don't see why a mom or a father should overcomplicate it. And as I said, I see like really disrespectful going to school and say, okay, this has happened. I think none of the parents should think this way or guardians. Now, when it comes to having support from a mother, it is extremely important what type of the environment she grew up also makes a difference. What type of friends she's involved with. If she have that kind of friends, let's say where her friends is just taking her to a different roads, let's say the most unpleasant roads, yes, she can bring home, unhealthy things and unhealthy situation where it can lead the father taking certain action, which, of course, because he loves his child, because he wants to protect him, probably, without no any kind of intention, he react that way. So, down as I said, it takes a great man. It takes a great lady build a great relation. Now, all depend how she perceived this motherly thing, this relationship, right? When it comes to you mentioned about someone in your circle. Obviously, I don't like to mention names as well. It's not my type. Mention names. I don't think so. It's respectful, and I don't think so. It's nice. Now, we all have certain people. Sorry, where we can look at the history, or we can look at the, let's say, story, and see what we can learn or see what we can help them. Right now, when it comes to a man, especially a father, we should never, as a lady, as a mother, I should never forget that he himself, the transition from being a husband to a father, is a very, very big step. Especially men that are quite more sensitive nowadays, and I kind of understand that. So we're supposed to have that high intelligence value to support him in a way as well. It's not just us we need support. I think it's extremely unfair just for a mother receive and not taking care of, her husband or her future daddy, right? Depends what's
Mm-hmm.
the case. I think we are smart enough to understand we can balance everything. So it's depend down to us how we grow this relation, how we mentalize our husband, our future daddy, that become a father. Yes, it will going to be responsibilities on the way, but we can do it. We can support. We can find a way to swap the shifts, or or involve certain uh, parents or friends, whatever. Because there is old saying in Africa, which my friend always told me, and I can never forget. Is amazing, and I always like to say it takes a child. It takes a village to raise a child, and that's how we should think. Because rather, if you are there or I'm here, we should think when it comes to a child. Yes, it will be responsibilities, but we should also think like a child. Generations depend about the child education, if that makes sense to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that in a ladies, it's stand those high value where we can turn the world upside down to a better society, starting with us, starting with our children, starting with our husbands, starting with our friends. I've recently read an article was related to personal life coach. Someone will say, "Don't change the society, change your behavior," and I totally agree with that. You see, because that is the reason those type of, let's say, especially teenagers, they are so uncertain, right? And with this uncertainty in society, this is cool, this is okay for me. Okay, if I'm coming home and I say to my mommy like I'm a gay or I'm whatever, with school where we don't agree, or certain they agree, general we don't agree. But we should change our mindset first, regardless what we want to do, then change our behavior, then change the things ourselves. Because when you start to change your mindset, you start to change the world. Would never be the vice versa. If would be the vice versa, would be just like you take everything what is not belong to yourself, you bring it into yourself, and you don't recognize your value, and you don't allow yourself to know who you are. The same thing, I think before, like you said, also this is related with case of certain people you mentioned after 30s, 40s. Yeah, okay, being a mother of 40s wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world, right? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Achieve everything, achieve your career. Yes, it's amazing. From my own perspective, I do everything in a go. And the reason I do is because I know I'm extremely empowered and I believe in myself. I believe like what I've started to do, my first victory, like I like to say, are my personal life sets of goals. My personal values, my personal um, daily disciplines. Those are my
Mm-hmm.
victories. Those are my levels where I'm going through every single day. And this is how my child is seen. This is what the other people I see. So they see me as a role model. Like recently, I just graduate, and fortunately, they allowed to take my son with me. And the way he swapped his
Wait,
mind
You said they allowed you to take your son with you. Like, what do you mean by that?
at graduation ceremony.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that you were able to take your son to college with you, like going through class. Okay.
No, it was a award graduation ceremony. So I've just realized at that day, he used to ask me, Mom, why you like to study so much? And I said, because knowledge, it opens the doors, and knowledge help you become better and realize
Mm.
the graduation finished. The way he looked at me, I could clearly understand the respect was more, and it kind of like helped him understand like all this path, all these years of study. And I always tell him like, this is just the beginning. I'm going to, start on this university, and then I'm going to the other one, and on and on. And the passion that I have for study doesn't mean that everybody needs to have for the same thing, right? But what you do, your personal disciplines at home, your personal letters, it start your success. I always like to say your success must be personal in a personal life. Then outside would be easy because you're already determined, you're already smart, you already know what you want, you already know achieve so many things. But if you can achieve your personal life and your relation, if depend about people if are in relation or not, yes, that's the most important success. Now, for those who are not in a relation, I don't think they should fear, because would be always out there a lady with values like me, or maybe even better, right? Which I'm always looking forward to learn from. But don't lose your hope. See who you
Right.
are, check your values, and try
Okay. Well,
to
hey.
make.
Yeah, I'm glad that you shared a lot of that with us. I'm getting ready to bring a few more people up here and have the discussion go on. But before I do that, guys, don't forget to hit that like button so this video can be circulated. And I'm getting ready to do something here. I'm about to call somebody out. Ashley 21. You said, I can't. I'm done with her modern brainwash. Ashley. I'm getting ready to do something right here, Ashley, because since you did something openly like this, let's take a trip down somewhere, Miss Ashley. I'm getting ready to share this screen. I want the audience to go with me here, Ashley. Y'all notice Ashley said, I can't. I'm done with her modern brainwash. Ashley. The same Ashley who wrote me today. Y'all see? Can y'all see the screen? Can you see this screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at Ashley right here. Look what you, Ashley. We can. Ashley, we about to call this out. Look, Ty, please start getting back in the word. All your answers are there. The devil is the one that leaves us confused. You are one of the people who taught me how to be a stronger Christian by getting in my Bible. You're backsliding, little brother, a little bit, brother. Now, Ashley, first of all, yeah, you was wrong on that one. But Ashley, you saying get back in the Bible? Let me ask you something, Miss. Let me ask you something, Ashley. Is this right here? Is that comment? Is that comment right here? Is that encouraging? Would Jesus say something like that to somebody that's spilling out their heart and their truth about what they feel is modern over in the UK? Get back in that Bible, Ashley. Called you. Anyway, no, Christina, you are doing an awesome job though. But honestly, I mean, from what I'm hearing though, a lot of it definitely sounds like it's traditional, big time. It sounds like it is traditional, and I mean and to be quite honest with you, the way that you're saying some of the things that you're saying, I think is 100%. It's 100% awesome, because I mean, from what you're stating, that's typically what a lot of men actually would rather gravitate to, is that a woman wanting them for them and their values as in who they are as a person and who they are as their personality, etc., like that. So I'm gonna welcome here Miss Antonia and Miss Fatal.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good. Antonia, can you say something?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I just want to make sure we can hear you. Yep, go ahead, Fatal.
Okay.
I'm not going to stay long because I'm moderating at the same time. So I'm working 2 different units right now to do both.
You let them see who you are, y'all. She's no longer.
I am not shy.
You're compromised. You are compromised. You know, no longer a secret agent now. No, go ahead.
Should I go like this? Okay, so here's my opinion, my 2 cents on Christina. Christina's a modern woman to probably her predecessors in her culture. Besides being from another country, that's what's going on right there.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. That's all I'm going to say, because I think whether I want to be or not, I'm considered a modern woman. I'm about as real as it's going to get at the end of the day. And I think that while my values have been traditional and I've raised my son to have traditional values, because of life happening, there's not been a traditional home. So do I hope for that for him for the future? Yeah, because I broke patterns from my poor past and his father's poor past. So we've made some progress. Do I expect more from him? Absolutely. So that said, I'd like to not just pay things forward, but to preach forward and to see progress in each generation we have. I'm the first generation in my family here in this country. So there, I'm what you're going to use as your benchmark to move. So that's how I look at it, and that's how I do life. And I teach my son it's going to be even more so on his back to do that, because I expect that from him. Therefore, that's how that works. But as far as taking care of yourself and being independent and being educated, that's not new, especially not here. If I hadn't had those core values given to me from bad parents at a young age, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have succeeded. Mm-hmm. And that said, on the flip note of being independent and taking care of a child myself, I have only given him positive male role models, and ones that I knew would never abandon him or leave him more issues than losing his own father did. So again, it's like, do I expect that I could be a perfect mother on my own no matter what I did? No. He absolutely needs male role models and mentors. You're one of them, Ty, and you know that. So, he has to have positive men to look at, because I don't know how to do that. I'm a chick. I don't have the DNA to do that.
See, but you saying that right there, a lot of them would not even admit that. You said, as far as a man, as far as being like a male, you saying, I don't know. I can be the mother and I can be the father. I get a happy Father's Day card to myself on.
Exactly. I celebrate it. We go to brunch. I take the day. Absolutely. I deserve it. But in the same respect, this year was the first year we invited his now newly not estranged father, who's come into the picture for the past years, to Father's Day on me, to make him feel present and understand I never wanted to be his dad by myself. I still don't. I still kind of am, basically, but at least we're getting somewhere. Right. But he needs to understand things about his dad on his own knowledge. I've never said a bad word about the guy. I could rip him apart, and I don't. Because that's my beef. That's not to carry on to my kid. Let him have his own beef. He's already going to have a chip on his shoulder that he was missing for 13 years. Right. That's his protection from not being overly trusting and getting taken advantage of in the future. That's what I feel. That's how I look at the positive of it. Because otherwise he'd be taken advantage of. I'm pretty confident he's a sweet kid. But overall, no, I know that thank God I have brothers. Thank God I have had the same boyfriend for 15 years now who could be good role models, who could explain to him about women and really understanding of what being a man is, the things that men need to do in life that make them who they are. I can't tell him that. And I was raised by my dad before I left home, and again with all these brothers. So with all the male around me, I still am not a father. So, and I did the best I could to make sure he had those types of people in his life at the right times for the guidance and stuff he needs. But in every aspect, he's seen me do everything. So, in a way, I'm proud of that, because he's seen how hard I work to make things nice for him.
Right.
And afford him a certain lifestyle. But in the same way, I think he feels genuinely bad for me at times now that I didn't have someone to support me.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's the part that a lot of people don't look at. And see, in your case, Carrie, because I know you guys on here for a while, I always tell people now, people can get things mixed up because of, how you moved up the ladder and how you have a great career and everything. But you did that because you have a drive in you. You didn't do that based off of the attitude that I don't want no man. I can do. You did that because you're like, okay, wait,
everyone told me I couldn't.
See,
and also had not only no faith in me, but kind of kicked me to the curb while I was down. I was on my own and emancipated at 15 years old. I don't know any 15-year-old now personally who could have survived that, or who would be okay with it, or wouldn't have stayed in the hood, or wouldn't have adapted to their environment. I was all about, I need to get out of here fast and pronto. I need an education. I need to do something myself. And it was, at the time, it was because I wanted to turn around and say, screw you to everybody who said no. But it became more of a sense of like, this is who I am. Just because they didn't think, that doesn't mean that's because they labeled me a certain way, doesn't mean that's who I am. And thank God, you know, I have that in myself. But I look at my own son, and I don't think he'd have the drive to be that kind of person. He's a totally different human. So again, I'm glad I put role models around him to guide him through that, because he doesn't have that fierceness in him. He's a sweet person. I'm a beast compared to him. So
right. See, that's why I think that people don't know that about you, is that, you know, with you and Lane, you never put it in his head like, I'm independent, I'm doing this on my own because I can do. You from definitely from conversation stuff like that, you never had it in the back of your head like, I'm not gonna want no dumb man. You always had it to where, no, I do want a man, but at the same time, the fact that I don't have one right now, I'm gonna make sure I'm taking care of my son. And because of that, he never seen that attitude of this stupid man, these dumb men, you know, your dumb dad. Like you said, you never talked bad about his dad. But at the same time, based off of what we know, from what we know about you and how we see you going out to these lavish places and eating and all this stuff, being dressed up, she likes to actually be out and being wine and dine. So your boyfriend and stuff, we know y'all go out and do y'all thing a lot.
I want romance. We're 15 years in. I expect a romantic meal once a week, and that's the end of that. Like that. And, you know, I don't have to ask him to do it. But again, I'm also at an age where I think a decade ago, I kind of decided, when do I get to be happy? And I gave him a really hard time in the beginning. It's why he's not technically Lane's dad or my son's dad, because I was worried about my own mental, like being in a relationship after being in such a horrible one for so long. I had no faith in that it was going to last forever, or would it? And I didn't want him to be 3 or 4 years in and then disappear on my son. Then it's on me. What did I do? So, you know, I kind of waited probably too long. I could have done it and introduced it a few years ago. But at that point, my son kind of, when I approached him about it, and even my boyfriend did, he was like, look, no, I'm good. Like, you and me, ride or die until I leave for college, and then I'll share you with him. Right now, I'm sharing him with you, or with me. Like, I'm sharing you because it's my time. This is the way we set it up. Let's ride it out the rest of the time, until I'm an adult. And then we'll figure it out from there.
Wow.
I respected. He's a pretty, to me, he's an old soul. Like, he really proved to me that you can be wise beyond your years, because it made sense. Why put another alpha in the house when he's the man? Because that's how I raised him, to want to be the man in charge.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and you know what? I'll wait to get married. I'll wait to move on with my life. Let me finish with my son, because that was the thing I'm supposed to do.
Some people are trying to throw some shots at Kara. Y'all are missing the ball on this. Maxwell and Zombie.
This. I'm from New Jersey, and I lived in New York for years, so I'm sorry if I'm too fast for you, or that I'm too animated. That's how we are out here. So I'm going to take that insult and not be mean. Okay.
It's actually kind of like a compliment if you
someone like, I mean, obviously you're not from the Northeast, because we didn't eat you up and spit you out. Like, I don't have time for that. So if I'm animated, that's just who I am as a person. I talk fast, I think fast, I do fast. That's
you talk about talk fast. Who you already know how I do. I will choke up on my words.
Ty gets that too. We're the same like that. I never miss anything, because I'm exactly the same. Yep. So I have to tell myself to slow down. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, let me see, what else is this?
Yeah, and then, like I said, man, what Maxwell, I think you just kind of throwing shots here, man, because for her being on this channel for so long, the things that she's talking about, we were a part of that experience with her son. Like, so that's what I'm saying.
I'm not seeing the comments yet now, because my girl's got my back here.
Oh no,
you're fine. Called a liar. Okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm just trying to figure out. I think it's, you know how. So here it is.
Maxwell, tell me what I lied about, and you can talk directly to me. I have nothing to hide, sweet.
You know, they really can't tell you. They really can't. They really can't tell you though, because they don't know. They haven't been along this channel for this long time to know and actually get to see the things. You know, we've seen pictures, we've seen experiences. You know, we know everything that happened and went down with you. And so it's just, this is like one of those deals where
with my life, I share my life a lot. I have 9 brothers, 5 sisters. We're all separated. So initially, social media for me started out as, this is what my kid did today, and this is what your kid did today, so we can keep in touch and be on top of it. But I was into the arts. I'm an artistic person. I do music, I do art, blah, blah, blah. So it blossomed from there. And then I let myself really be open, because again, I don't have anything to hide. My stuff is never a secret.
Wait, you said, right. And Maxwell, you said the host blocked your account. I didn't block your account. So I don't know what you're talking about. Usually I let people say their piece on here because I know my moderators and the folks that's been subscribers of mine, they know how my mindset is. A lot of times you able to say what you want to, but also,
yeah,
you know,
I didn't block you, just so you know. It wasn't me. And
it ain't a big deal. I mean, you guys
haven't been doing that. And Braxton, I believe you on the Southerners. I mean, my dad is retired in the South. I spent time down there. Overall, it wasn't my cup of tea, and I'm definitely too much for them down there. So, but I do believe, as far as like keeping it real and being pretty straightforward, there's Southern hospitality and then there's Southern bluntness, which I've experienced. So I mean, I think it's how you're raised to a point and who you are, because my parents kept everything under the carpet, and silent generations didn't want to talk about anything. I'm obviously the opposite. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, see, and then, you know, like this is just one of those experiences, though. I mean, honestly, I mean, not that I would want people to say anything like this, but it's just one of those deals where you guys all seen how they come at me on this channel.
Yeah.
So to actually have that happen to you guys yourself, it's just to show people that you guys still be able to hold your own. And again, there's people here that will say things because they're trying to get a response out of you, trying to get you triggered. We all know how this all rolls. Yeah. Greg says she didn't have a dad. I feel sorry for her, Greg.
There was no direct question or no direct, like, what did I say? Or you say that because of my movements and my speaking, but that's, I mean, if you knew me, this is who I am, and I'm not like,
right. And Greg Doyle, you said she didn't have a dad. You feel sorry for her. I didn't have one either. So, I mean, but look how she turned out. Look how I turned out. So again, I don't, like I said, you might be saying that because you might feel sorry, but if it's a way of throwing shots, it's not going to work because you got two people that are strong-minded and got their heads on and know what their business is about and everything. So, I mean, again, guys, one of the things that's really important is that you're going to have people in these YouTube, they call it the YouTube streets, that's going to throw shots and troll everything like that. And I honestly, I really usually don't respond because the people don't know me. So I'm just like, okay. Like people get on here, boy, you lying. You just, okay. All right, moving on. So
yeah, but I don't know what he directly meant as to what I would be lying about, like whether it was my past, what I was saying about how I raised my kid. Like there was no direct scud. It was just a generalized comment, which, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
But as far as not having a dad, I mean, I did have my dad to a certain point, and I'm thankful for the 3 things he taught me because I've used them my whole life, and I'm grateful for that. I feel sorry for him that he missed out on me as an adult and meeting his grandson, his only grandson.
Okay,
otherwise,
great.
You know, I'm good with it. What am I going to eat? If I sat and dwelled on that, I would never again have moved forward. I could have sat on that for a long time. And believe me, I'm going to be straightforward. I did numb myself out for a long period of time from feeling for it. But I you know, we go through things, and I thank God I got through it. Mm-hmm. I think God had my back.
Absolutely.
Big time.
Absolutely.
And I'm strong, obviously. I'm not a weak girl.
No, most girls are coming. Well, I mean, you coming from the hood, most of them are not anyway. So that is that would be very rare coming from the hood and seeing people getting stabbed and all that stuff like that. That'd be very rare to come out of that just being such weak, you know. So yeah, but no, yeah, we appreciate the input there.
I'll let you guys go. You guys can finish it up. But I mean, Maxwell, you can come at me in the chat if you want to. I'm happy if you just want to be a keyboard warrior and not direct me. That's cool too. But you know, otherwise,
y'all know how it goes. If they get out of hand, y'all know she got the button. I got 3 of them to have buttons, buddy. So Maxwell, tread carefully.
And they got my back, so you know. And I'm the worst one. So.
She's always ready to press it. You better be careful, Maxwell.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right, appreciate it, Fatal.
Talk to you soon.
All right, Miss Antonia, what do you have, sis?
Hey. I'm going to say. Oh, I had to give my kid his. So, I feel like one of the big problems in looking at these sorts of discussions is people always seem to have this in their mind that there's only one way to live your life. And, you know, people, like quite often, like when people talk about daycare, you know, some people don't have a choice. And it's like people act like everyone has an infinite amount of choice to do what they wanted to do with their life. And this is not true. Some things just happen to you and you have to deal with it. You know, main thing I hopped on here was they said I'm a modern woman because I'm a single mom. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm modern. And I would also say I'm a modern woman in that I'm an extremely rational logical person. And if somebody came up and said, like, do you need a man? Like, well, no, I've been divorced for 6 years. I've been single for 6 years. I don't even date or talk to men. I think I'm doing okay. You know, beyond my family, you know, outside of work, I don't really talk to guys. So it's obviously, it's possible. I mean, I do, you know, my father is here and he helps, you know, with my kid as well as my mother. So, but it's just, I think people have this attitude that the way they live is the only way people can live. And that's the only right way to live.
I see. See, what's weird about that, though, is whoever made a comment and said, if you're a single mom, that makes you modern. No, that's actually not even, I don't know how they came up with that. No, because the modern women that I was referring to, these women are not even in relationships yet. They don't even have children yet. These women are women that actually are pretty much comprised of having been completely career driven only. And the only time that they're getting ready to get into any relationship or even consider even talking about kids, if they're going to find a man that they call a high value man who is he's a high roller, got money, got the house, got the cars, all the things going, those are the only ones that they are going to consider. So what you end up finding is that these women that these people are describing to me, they are not going to actually have no time of day for any man that makes anything less than 100,000. And that's the reason why I mentioned this, and Christina said it, is because I said and I'm just saying, even based off of what Christina told me, and it's not to say anything against her, because like I think the UK definition of modern woman and our definition of what I'm talking about, this new generation of modern women is completely different species. And that's the reason why I say still to now, I have not come across these modern women, these mythical creatures that these other panels that I go on are describing.
But I don't think they exist. I'm going to be honest. I think these are just angry people who make up kind of a caricature of this person that they're projecting on. Now, in theory, does this exist? Sure, I'm sure there's women out here like this. I've heard about this before, but the problem that you run into, okay, most people who are shallow are attracted to other people who are shallow, and they're going to focus on very shallow things. So quite often I tell people, it's like, if this is all you see, it may be because that's what you are. Not that they want to think about it in those terms, but you know, it's just for a lot of these people, that's what it is. They're angry and they're projecting.
So again, like I said, I kind of had a feeling that whenever I made this post, because I'm telling you guys, I will be able to show you guys some other panels that I go on, and it might be something that's going to be going on pretty much soon here tonight. And anybody that's listening right now, I would 100% love for you guys to go over to these different panels that I'm talking about.
What's wrong with being a feminist?
No, they're talking about, well,
it's weird.
It's like what we call the current day. The current day, like postmodern feminists are on something completely different. You know what I mean? Like the feminists today, the ones today seem to have a whole different outlook. I mean, when you are trying to, okay, let's say for example, the ones of my generation that was in that feminist movement, I say that they're partially responsible for why we have men and women's sports right now. If you feel that you are a woman, you can be a woman, get in these men's sports. That's right. Go in there and slay. And now these men are getting in there and dominating these women in their sports.
No.
No what?
See, because there's okay. You have different branches of the feminist movement. Okay?
Right.
Now there are feminists who openly argue that trans women, I don't want to get too deep into this because, you know, you might get flagged or something like that.
Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers. Okay. That they argue that Transformers are not women. Okay. And that they do not want them in their space. And that there should be women only spaces. And the creation of Transformers is, they believe, a backhanded way for men to impose themselves in women's spaces.
Right. Remember, I said
Yeah.
it's these modern ones. I'm not talking about the old school feminists. I'm talking about the modern ones now, the ones who push this rhetoric, because it's that you wouldn't find the only men that you would find that went along with that whole rhetoric were men who were about that lifestyle. But other straight, heterosexual, even men, I mean, I hate that we even have to say that, but just basic men, period, were like, dude, absolutely not. Like, you don't put no biological man in no women's sport. But then you had the modern feminists that were like, no, they should be able to participate. They had a huge support from these modern feminists to allow them to get in there and do these sports. Because most men that you would ask, all men completely opposed it. And
let's see, I'm not sure where this is coming from, because when I was in university and I was around, actual feminist academics, this was not a subject they really discussed.
Really? Oh, going through. Oh,
no, this is not something they discussed.
When I was going through college, it was something. When I was going through college in 2001, it was something that was brought up that was in the works. Like, it was they're thinking about throwing this in there. It could be, it can't be. And I remember being in track and field on a 4-hour scholarship, saying to myself, man, y'all, come on, why are we even talking about this, man? This will never happen. The America is not that crazy where they will allow some grown men to get into some women's sports. I mean, haven't y'all seen Joanna, man? I remember just arguing with my guys on the track team, or even on the basketball team, saying this will never happen. And there was a movement of women that was on our campus that were pretty much saying no, because some people were born into the wrong body, and if they were born into the wrong body, they should be able to participate in sports that they feel that fits their inner person or who they are. And we were like, okay, y'all done lost y'all mind. Nobody's gonna ever do that. And here we are. What's this? That was 2001. So you're talking 21 years later. Here we are with biological men in women's sports. And they were all.
I don't know. I graduated in 2015. I was already old when I graduated. So, I mean, it was just not something we discussed, but it might have just been because I'm in Tennessee and I graduated from college in Tennessee. So it's not something we really get into.
Yeah. And then, they like the comment right here, what George Swan says right here is that, and I'm not saying that I call them the new age feminists, the more radical ones. They supported these men that actually wanted to push this in. And so the very thing that I think, to me, when women fought to get into the same jobs, like you're talking about being doctors, social workers, those type of avenues like that, I get that women say we should be getting paid just as much or the same as these men do. I'm totally with that. But what I don't like is when you turn around and you say things like, when they come at these men, like, we want to be just as equal with men, we don't want this, macho that. But then yet at the same time, because of these radical feminists, they allow men to actually infiltrate their space and actually dominate and beat them. So the very thing that they were fighting for, it seemed like they actually end up doing it to themselves by allowing these men to come into those spaces. And I mean, men are getting women of the year. That, you see what I'm saying? Like,
well, this is one of these things. I guess it's something that I never focused on, because I'm going to be honest. My concerns have always been more material, making sure I can pay my bills, making sure I can, take care of the things I need to take care of. And, when people talk about feminism, frankly, I'm going to be honest, they don't know anything about the past and they romanticize it. Okay. It's like when people will talk about, it's the introduction, no fault divorce destroyed everything. Well, what most people don't know is that the suicide rate for women went down dramatically after the introduction, no fault divorce. The murder rate for women went down as well. Yeah. So obviously there was something going on there and people were not exactly happy. And,
right.
So people they think about the past and they see this past that wasn't there. Women stayed with men quite often because they had no other choice. Okay. It was, if you didn't have one, then you weren't going to be able to take care of yourself. You weren't going to be able to feed your kids, etc.
So a
lot of women stayed out of that.
What I think about, though, is that there have always been women that was in that position where they were taking care of business without the man being there.
It was very rare. What I'm saying is, in the United States of America, it was actually not legal for a woman to open up a bank account on her own until the 60s. It wasn't until the 1980s that the federal government passed a law saying that a bank could not ask you for your father, your husband, or a male relative's permission to open a bank account.
You think they had to do with
Feminism
something
was
because
not about.
you didn't have a job, so you couldn't necessarily open up a bank account because you didn't have a job that would be
No,
able to
it wasn't about job. I mean, there were a lot of areas where, like, if a woman want to work, they just give her check to her damn husband or, you know, her daddy or whatever. Yeah, I'm saying it's feminism in its original conception was not about hating men or something like that. It was about the liberation of women. Because I'm sorry, you know, like somebody in there was, you know, they're talking about motherhood. I mean, do y'all not realize that in a lot of countries in this world, women do not have a damn choice? Motherhood is slavery for them. They are not given a choice whether they want to get married or have children. They are just made to do that.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Miss Antonia. Did you say they are made to be mothers? Like what? Wait a minute, because they could have said no to that guy.
Like no, like a lot of the Muslim countries, there's a lot of African countries, a lot of Asian countries still where women are made to do that, whether they want to or not.
I get what you're saying. I thought you were talking about here in America, though. I get different cultures. I understand that. That's.
Well, I mean, you know, in America back in the day, back in the day, there were a lot of women that just basically you were expected to get married, and that was that. And if you didn't get married, you weren't going to survive. You know, and this is what I always say: is that feminism in its original conception was about the liberation of women, so that if women didn't want to get married, they didn't have to do that. But if women didn't want to have children,
so you're telling me that at that time that this man sat there and said, "Well, Bernadine, I sure would want you to make you be my wife," and she said, "You tell me the woman couldn't say no."
It wasn't necessarily one of these. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is that there's social pressure, and it's one of these things where if you can't go get a job and survive on your own, then what else are you going to do?
Who was never able to do that though? I've never heard
women were not. Yeah, you've never heard it because you were never, like I said, this is the past. This is, I would say definitely say like definitely pre-1920s, even up until the 1950s in some parts of the United States. It was basically if you weren't married to some guy or, you know, your parents weren't still alive to take care of you, you were going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, there's a whole, have you ever read Jane Austen's work? These are famous books. I mean, this is what they revolve around, trying to find a husband, because if they don't find a husband, they're going to be out in the hedgerow starving. Now, I mean, this was real life.
When I said I never seen that, I guess the word I could have worded and said I've never read it, because I got some history stuff pulled up right here and sources cited that was stating that in the late 1800s, post-slavery, black and white women, they were all the ones that were single. Most of them were they were widowed, and the ones that were single, they actually started in late 1870s into the 1930s. They were increasing in job folds 100-fold
in the Northeast.
So what I'm saying that for is that also Moynihan wrote in here that as the families were starting to cultivate to some of these men going off into the military, the women stayed back and worked. And they said never have they once ever come across a woman who was single that they starved to death. So something was going on to where, I mean, I get there was a social pressure
that starts in the Northeast, because the Northeast was industrialized in the United States. Other parts of the United States, not so much. Okay. Now, when you're talking about the latter part of the 1800s, this is actually the start of the feminist movement, because it started out of the abolitionist movement. Probably the most famous originator was Sojourner Truth. You know, the first feminist conference was in the late 1800s. I can't remember, but I can't remember the exact year. But basically, that's where it starts, because the Northeast is industrialized. There's more need for workers, so women start working. But it wasn't until the mid 20th century that women were able to basically, I can have my own bank account, I can do these things. And it wasn't actually until like the 60s, 70s that they introduced no fault divorce, which was basically a woman didn't have to go to the judge and cry to get divorced and show a cause. She could just say, hey, I just want a divorce. Yeah.
Right. So if that's the case, and this is what I will always ask is that if this right here was so I mean, I get certain aspects and certain variables, but if it was so liberating, then how is it that in the point at where we're at right now in today's society, we are like seem to be the most disastrous when it comes to marriage and relationships? So if it was so,
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Frankly, I don't pursue any relationships. I frankly don't even believe in the concept of romantic love. I think it's all hormones. It wears off, right? Now, the problem has always been.
Really?
Okay, look, that's just my personal opinion. I don't believe it. It's a completely irrational, illogical thing. But
to be in a loving romantic relationship is.
No, I'm just saying the feeling that's just the idea that that's going to last. I mean, what usually happens is it's hormones and it goes away, and then you're left with either friendship and you guys can make this work, or you end up hating each other. It tends to go into the latter.
I think that's personal, sis. That from a personal aspect, somebody pissed you off.
Okay.
Because,
I mean, we're human beings. Somebody hurts all of us.
That's right. Okay. Life. Right. I mean, what I'm saying that for though is that the personal experience that you encountered probably kind of made you formulate that.
Well, yeah, and it's a valid experience. It's a relevant experience. There are a lot of other people who have the same experience that I do. Right. And I have never been a person who's very emotional. I've never been a person who, I'm going to be honest, I was always a person who was an academic. I was a person who's more interested in, thinking and, politics, philosophy, things like that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, no, I'm not the sort of woman that most people would associate with being romantic. It's not in my makeup.
That right dude ain't coming. That guy hasn't come across you yet. That's what that is.
He's not going to. I have a son. Look, he's not going to. Okay, if God wanted me to be married, he shouldn't have made me ugly and smart.
Oh, no, why would you say that? Don't say that. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, because I know what people are. Okay,
no,
look, look, these panels you have. I watched one of those, mm-hmm. and it was a bunch of guys going on and on about what they wanted in women. Like, if a woman's over this age, she's trash. If a woman's over this, she's trash. If a woman isn't this, she's trash. I mean, do we think I don't look at this and just take it at face value? I'm like, okay, this is what men think. All right.
No, that's what those.
I'm not gonna waste my time with it.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what
those. How many people are watching Andrew Tate right now and agree with that? Millions. How many people watch like Kevin Samuels and they agreed with that? Millions.
Mm-hmm. Right. But then think about
that's what they think. That's who they are. Why would I waste my time with it?
Right. Why would you waste your time with those?
Why would I waste my time?
Why would you waste your time with those particular type of guys? Those particular type of men? You see what I'm saying? See, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's necessarily about a particular type. I think there's a generality that one can look at and just like, okay, these are generally what these men think, but and I have no issue with it. This is like people. Yeah, I was married for 11 years.
That's what I'm saying. So somebody found you desirable. Somebody found you beautiful for 11 years.
No, I don't think that's what it was. He couldn't get what he wanted, so he took what he could get. And let me tell you, as a person who's been in that sort of relationship, I'm going to tell you something. Don't do it. Don't settle for any sort of man like that because they resent you. That's what happens. They just end up resenting you.
What's this men like that? Like
basically,
honestly, seriously, I'm telling you, you don't have to go into details, but if you saying that he was like, verbally abusive or physically abusive or constantly putting you down.
He was, we had 2 occasions where he did that, but he was people always sit there and say that, women chase bad boys. No, he was an average guy. I don't want to talk bad about him because he's not here, and that doesn't feel right. But I'm just saying he was a very average guy. He was very shy. He was an introverted sort of person. He wasn't the guy who was a hit with the ladies. I liked it. I loved him. That didn't bother me. But, when you're talking about these sorts of things, it just, People have this mindset that you can control all the variables, and you can't. You just can't. You can't control other people's behavior.
Nope. But I will just say, I think one of the worst things people can do is if you get into these, what they call these YouTube spaces or these YouTube streets, and you see these particular men all saying this particular thing in the real world. I'd say it all the time, and I said it on these panels, that is not going to exist. Now, I think when it comes down to it, if you believe in what a lot of people are saying, I don't care if it is Kevin Samuels and all that as well. But again, we're going to be honest. Everybody looks in the mirror and know what you look like. You look in the mirror and know what you look like. And a lot men do it, women do it. You know the type of person that you probably can get with. You know the probably person that you cannot get with. You probably know the type of person that you definitely will not be with and have no attraction to, versus the one. She jumped off. But versus the ones that you do. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that the YouTube space, if people spend enough time on there, it can end up formulating an idea and causing the person to feel some type of way about them, though. So, Christina, you have anything else you want to add to this? I'm sorry, you've been kind of quiet for a while.
All right, thank you. So actually, I was just listening, and I will just try to make a few valid points before I say anything. I see in this occasion, like from Antonia, like what she mentioned, a few things in having been in a relation with someone that was resentful. So that is a very, I would say, it was probably a very common topic a while back. Is, as I say, down to our choice, right? Because when we know our values, we know what to choose, right? So I think from the very beginning, we're supposed to understand. You was mentioning something about myself being traditional, and I see quite a lot of comments on the YouTube section. Was few people was asking what is a modern woman, and from perspective, being a modern woman is what a lady can get, all that type of protection, all that type of what service she required, what does she want from her, let's say, the other half. Now, a traditional woman is how she perceived the values, how she respect, and how she progress with that values, right? Such from her side and from her half side, wherever.
What are you doing today to change your mood?
And I can see in the last 2 points from Antonia, I can see that the reason she said she was always more motivated in career to progress, probably because I don't want to say like anything wrong, but what I've heard, what I've understood is that in her ex whatever relation was not the most fortunate one. Now, all what I want to add here is all based on experience. We all have, even if we had previous experience, doesn't mean that the next person will be the same. I personally, I don't like to say like, okay, you asked me about marriage and stuff like that. You're definitely going to get married one day, probably soon, who knows? But I cannot bring the past into the present. That's not the way. That's not the right way to construct the future. I always say like, I'm looking at my future and what I can build in the right present. I cannot associate a past, whatever it was, with the present. There are two completely things. And here where it comes to the, that time of whatever what people call healing time or taking time for yourself, because when you disassociate yourself from a past relation that, you see it was not pleasant, you just got to kind of like, back it up, understand that the reason that, they split, it was because it wasn't working for numerous reasons. Now, if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that we have to, I think we're supposed to allow ourselves to have our own space, think, probably healing, depend, and continue with our greatness, continue with our values. And yes, adapting to change, like it was a lady earlier on was saying about socializing, or what is affecting a child, all the social things. And I do agree with that, but like we kind of, as I said, I think we are smart enough to overcome challenges and find solutions. Now, if we bring back things right from the past, it will not help us. But if we try to find solution, I think that's the point of being, wise. I see many people, they don't even bother to find solution, and that is fine because we all have a different way of thinking. But like, when you're trying to find a solution to a certain problem, either if it's your problem from current situation or past, this is how you overcome. So I would like to hear from Tanya, her opinion.
Well, I think you got the wrong read of this. I'm not somebody who's career driven because of a bad relationship. I've always been that way. Okay, let me put it this way. I have no memory of learning how to read. I was just always able to do that. Okay, I was not a normal child. I was hyper advanced for my age. Yeah, I was basically that person when I was in middle school. I could read at the college level, and I'm gonna tell you something. It's a deeply unpleasant experience when you're a child and you're going through that. So because you don't feel like one of them, and then the adults get mad at you because your vocabulary is too big. And they say, like, I used to get yelled at for telling people they were telling me I was being smart all the time. I'm like, well, I just used a word. But and that's where that came from. I was just always this person who enjoyed reading. I enjoyed learning. I loved science, and I wanted to go to college and I wanted to work. I never thought about getting married. I never thought about having children. It just kind of happened. Yeah, and I was married 5 years when I had my son. And later on, I was able to finish college and get into work like I wanted to. I wasn't able to work the way I wanted to because my son's autistic and he's nonverbal. So you don't get daycare for that kind of thing. But that's where I would say that drive for a career came from. It was always something that I wanted to do. I wasn't really interested in like, I love my family and I do most of my socializing in my family, but I was never really interested in being a housewife or having a bunch of kids. Like, I was like, back in the day, my dream was to be a volcanologist. I didn't want to be a mom. I'm not saying I don't love my son. I do. But that wasn't what I was thinking about when I was at that age. It's not self-hatred. It's just acknowledgement of who I am. Like, okay, I have to say this. This is a philosophical point. That women are valued for beauty. You understand? So if somebody says they're ugly, you automatically think something immoral because that's what you're trained to do, right? But there is nothing wrong with being ugly. It's just, okay, you just look like something. Oh, well, it's not morally offensive.
See, to me, that's like objective, though. It's like based on what? You know what I mean? Like, there's
societal standards. And I can tell you what those standards are really quick. I mean, we have scientific studies on this. We have dozens of them.
Right. But what I'm saying is that, as far as that goes, I think that when you just said it's societal, I think, like I always use this, where Charlie Chaplin said, don't give yourselves to bruise. Men who despise you, enslave you, tell you how to live your life, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. So I think that when people do things like that, like, I've always been different to the extent to where I don't care what somebody else may think might be the standard, what they might think would be beauty, whatever. That has nothing to do with Ty Smith and what Ty Smith is going to want and what I'm going to get. And I don't care what nobody else thinks, because I know what it is, what I like. I know what it is that I want. So regardless of whatever else society says about it, I do not care. So, like, even like I said, that's why I was mentioning, like, on YouTube, is that even just like tonight, I had several people that sat there and sent little messages and emails stating, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna hop on, and I have not seen. That's why I said I have not seen none of them, because not to say that they're not out there, but to me, they do not exist. There's panels after panels of men talking about these particular type of modern women, and they're out there. I mean, they talk about it so extensively that it makes it seem like you can just go out there and they're everywhere. And to me, it's the same exact thing what society has done with the transformer movement. You see it in everything on TV. You see it.
There's hardly any of those.
Right. See, that's my
I
point.
mean, it's less than 1% of the population.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You hear about it, you thinking like, man, it must be everywhere because I see it on TV. I see it all on Disney. Every movie got to have it all now. Every movie, everything you turn on, everything has it in there. But then when you go out there in the real world, you might see, like, I think maybe where I live, I think I might have seen like one man that looked like he might have been he's a trans. I've seen one man it's like when they do it, they are flamboyant. I'm talking about super long pink hair, to drag on the ground, got heels on, and they muscular, and it's like, oh, okay. But if you keep on seeing this all on TV, because everybody lives in such a
you're gonna think it's normal
world, and you're gonna think it's everywhere. So that's why I say that about these mythical modern chicks that these people keep talking about.
I think it's more, like I said, it's their own projection. It's their own. Some people, they have their own insecurities and they just project it onto everybody else. But, it's just, how do you put it? Like when people talk about the height thing and they talk about the income thing, most men are not 6 feet tall. Okay, and most women know that. They're not running around like, with a freaking tape measure trying to freaking measure a dude. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know that was a thing that people worried about height until I was in my 30s. I didn't even know. Like, I had no idea, and it's because my dad is shorter than my mom. He's a Mexican. Okay, look, we come at two heights: short or tall. That's it.
Well, that's my thing is that whenever I just know that you as a kid, when you're a child. And you're growing up and your mother is taller than you just say my mom is tall. That's it. So for even like you mentioned about the measuring stick, most women who are shorter than men, they don't sit there and actually, all they know is that the guy is taller than me. That's their perception. But whenever these things are starting to making their way around the YouTube world of people saying 6 feet or 6 feet or 6 feet, most people don't even know how to look. The only way I know that somebody is 6 feet and above is if when I come and talk to them, if they are my height, and just a little shorter, I think, okay, that person right there must be 6 feet because I'm 6'3", but otherwise, I don't know any women that go around and just look at a man and say, yeah, he's 6 feet, because most women are shorter than men. And why? It's like if a guy say, I'm 5'10", but I'm going to put these boots on right here. That's going to put me at the 6 foot mark. So I'm good then, right? You see what I'm saying? It's all this. That's all this.
I have a friend. She's like 6'3". She's really tall. Okay, and she has a thing for short dudes. She has never dated a man who's taller than her. She won't do it.
Right. But I mean, again, I just don't. To me, it's just people just going off of it right now because to me it's trendy. But in real life, and what I'm finding, like I said, because I actually have my things right here from like I have it right to have photos, and these are from like somebody that I actually know, that's a divorce lawyer. Whatever, and he gives me these statistics, and when you look at these things and you see like, okay, the people that are average married, these people are not these folks that these folks are describing out here in the YouTube world.
Most people are not making six figures.
No.
So I don't know what the hell. And I have this weird thing when people talk about getting married, like I can't afford to get married. I'm like, how the hell did poor people get married for centuries then? How'd that happen?
Right. And and then this comment right here, Ashley says, you're not going to find your definition modern woman here, Ty. She too busy picking out her next set of wheels, getting ready to apply for a new job position. See, again, that's one of those talking points right now I'm talking about where people see that's like it's mythological. There's that unicorn.
Exactly.
See, it's like you're not going to find them because they only come out once a year. Whenever the modern woman comes out, it's very rare. The sun must line up completely with the moon, and the moon gives off its own. I mean, it's like, okay. Okay.
See, it's like sometimes I'll sit there and I'll
leprechaun or something.
Okay, I'm going to make some people mad, but I'm just going to do it. Like, okay, there's this thing that'll come up sometimes when I look at Rumble. It's like Fit and Fresh or something like that, and it's always this round table of a bunch of women who kind of all look the same, and two men are just sitting there just going on and on about women rate themselves too highly, women do this, women do that, and I'm just sitting there watching this. I'm like, how does this help anybody? Who are you helping with this? What is this for? Is this just to make people angry and upset? And is that what this is for? Because it's no better than watching a woman on TikTok scream about how angry she is at men. It's the same thing. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like coming at a scab and just picking at it all day. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Well,
why are you watching this?
Right, and that's why I say no. What it is, they're mad at that man. It's not the these men out here or these women out here. It's like no, these guys when they get on there and they say things about man, these women. I'm telling y'all, they're not gonna. And every time I would go on some of these panels, I'm like, man, who are these women that y'all are talking about? Where are they at? And no, man, they out there. Guaranteed. I said, okay, so this been in the works for probably about 3 weeks. I said, okay. I kept going to these panels and say, hey, on this day, I'm going to be doing a open panel. Trying to find these, I'm telling you, man, when you do it, they're gonna come, dude. And these people were all on there saying they swear, and not one of them has showed up, man. So that's why I say it's just no. I open it up for the unicorns.
See, I think the other thing, it definitely, people don't understand that these like YouTube does this, where if you watch one thing, it'll show you a lot of that thing, even if you don't want to watch it again, until you basically click enough times do not recommend. So people need to understand that they get caught up in what we call confirmation bias, where you have a particular opinion, and instead of looking for anything that might make you think that you're wrong, you're going to keep looking for the things that reinforce the opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're some woman that's very angry at men and you think all men are scum, you're going to go looking for that. If you're a man who thinks all women are vapid and just looking for men with money, you're going to go looking for that. Yeah, and the other thing I will say, some of these people don't want to hear it. These modern women who are out there busting their butt, working on their careers, etc., they're going to tend to pair up with people who are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing that thing, you're not going to meet those women. Sorry.
No. So yeah, I mean, all in all, though, I mean, I do appreciate you guys jumping up here and coming up here and stating y'all perspectives and opinions. And I'm gonna close it out here in a little bit, but I'm gonna let you guys say some last words and what y'all think. And Christina, you have some last words you would like to say, sis? It's probably 2:00 in the UK now.
It's actually nearly 3 a.m. in UK. I'm surprised. Usually I'm always up at this time when I'm studying. Either way, I have a question for you and the rest of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So if accordingly with everything what I can understand from the world opinion, if the traditional woman is not ideal, then the modern woman is not ideal. What type of woman would be ideal for ideal marriage, ideal lifestyle?
The traditional woman. The traditional woman. That honestly, no, from what I'm seeing, traditional. Honestly, from what I'm seeing in my circle of folks, and also, like I said, you travel all over and you talk to different folks, and then even just coming into the YouTube realm, the ones who seem to be completely solid in the relationship are the ones that have it in a traditional way. So, what I'm gonna tell you is this: there is nothing wrong with a woman wanting to go and get a career, et cetera, et cetera. But again, I think what's being missed here is that what they're training this generation behind me to do is to skip and don't even think about relationships. They just want them to get the jobs, get the careers, and work, and not consider family. Now, again, there are some people out there. There are men and there are women, and I tell them then that's their. And it seems weird when I say this to people. I say that's their gift. If you have the gift to where you don't even, I have an aunt right now. My aunt, she never desired to have any children. She went on and she has a husband right now. They've been married, gosh, for the longest. But both of them got lucrative careers. Both of them got lucrative jobs. They got homes in different states. They chose that lifestyle. She didn't desire any children or nothing like that, right? So when I see things like that and they agreed on that, and they both agreed when they were talking and in their courting and dating aspect of their relationship, where neither one of them desired children, boom, they are doing great. But I can say this, though. I always say nature does not lie, is that something will kick in, and it's a wonder that particular aunt of mine, she constantly, always wanting to have gatherings, to want people around. She just talks about family, to the extent to where she like wants to get to a point to where she like not get to a point, but like a lot of my own children and like my brother's sons and nieces. She constantly, okay, they can come and stay with me and such for the whole summer. You know, so in some shape, form, and fashion, that biological clock inside said I wanted some type of shape, form, and family around me. I wanted a family around me. I wanted children around me. So, but no, traditional is winning out and is actually staying stagnant and lasting longer than what they consider the modern ones. Now, Christina, what a modern relationship looked like from what I found out is this. He makes 6 figures. She makes 6 figures, right? When they come home, she's saying, I don't want to cook or clean. So we're going to hire a nanny to do the cleaning. We're going to hire a cook to cook our food. And then you throw in the kid element. Well, what if you guys have kids? Well, I don't want to be a mother. I'm going to have a, what they call them? I'm going to have a nanny that's going to take care of the kids. we're going to pay for a maid to clean our house. And we're going to pay for a cook to cook our food. And to them, it sounds really good. They're saying, this is what we want. And again, I have not come across these people. This is just what's being talked about. I have not come across these individuals. So I was being asked, Ty, they say, you know, you've been married for 21 years. You know, what do you think about all that? And I said, I just said, I think it's a disaster. And I'm not just doing this based off my own marriage. I'm doing this based off of my experiences growing up as a kid. I'm basing this off of other couples that me and my wife have talked to and counseled before. I'm basing it off of that. If you do something like that, you are cheating yourself and your child out of a relationship with what's supposed to be my wife and what your child is supposed to have as a father and a mother. So we all have these stories when we grow up about, oh man, my mom, when she cooks this particular meal or when she bakes my favorite dessert but how are you going to get that when you got to cooking your food? You know, how are you going to get this one time I was sick, I just loved it. My mom showed up she showed up, she held me in her arms, she gave me the little tablet and she sat there and she just held me and she rubbed my head and she brought me some chicken noodle soup. How are you going to get that if it's the dang on nanny doing that? That child's going to get that experience and that connection with the nanny. So as that child grows up, that child's going to say, I remember when nanny such and such held me in her arms, but you're not getting that closest with your parent. So all that nostalgia, all that thing that keeps us bonded as human beings, those things can be missed out on if these individuals are talking about being in a modern relationship where I don't even call it a relationship. It just seems like it's just cohabitate. It's weird to me, but that's me though. There we go. We got Antonia back. So
sorry, I hate this UI on the StreamYard. It's just I hit the wrong button every time I try to get out the comments. Okay. Anyway, Christine, I was going to ask you. You said you were from Romania, right?
Christina?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Now, were you raised in the communist era? I was asking, were you raised in the communist era?
90s.
Yeah.
After just finished.
Say it again.
Area, at the time.
Okay, so you got out.
They just finished the communism. Was between communism and democratic.
Oh, okay. So kind of that interregnum. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because I have. There's a lady down the street from me. She's from Ukraine, but she's from Donetsk, so different situation there with her. But yeah. So she has I've noticed some of the women from Eastern Europe, there's kind of a dichotomy. Some of the women who are they were raised at the tail end of the communist era, tend to be Eastern Europe is still very traditional. And, because Eastern Europe, part of it is still the Orthodox world. And, Romania is mostly Catholic, though, from my understanding. But there is kind of still like when the communists were in, they would really push that women needed to work and be, that kind of stuff. So I've noticed that with some of the older ones that come from Eastern Europe. But I would definitely say, like when you were talking about modern relationships, I think the ultimate problem is we live in a society here in the Western world that I don't think Eastern Europe is as bad off as some of the like Western Europe and the United States, but everything is centered around pleasure. Happiness is pleasure, right? how the hell can you have a life in which you're basically spending your entire time chasing pleasurable thing after pleasurable thing, and everything's focused on you and your pleasure? It's going to be really hard for you. I'm sorry, Christina.
I think because you was asking how you live within this space to chase. From my point of view, I don't chase anything. It comes natural because this is who I am.
Yeah. Well, when I talk about pleasure, you have to understand in Western societies these days, it is definitely more that pleasure or things like whatever's getting you the dopamine hit. You're talking sex, food, drugs, etc. Get the likes on social media. These are things that are very, it's material. It's incredibly, status seeking behavior. That kind of stuff. Very just momentary carnal pleasure, status seeking, that sort of stuff. And that's what people are focused on these days. It's very hard for people to have permanent relationships when that's what they're focused on.
I agree with that. Yeah, unfortunately, that is the reality we're living on, and that is the reason that happens. So many uncertainty. Sorry, especially men.
And I think
because
they
try to figure if they want a traditional. Is it good for them to live in a traditional marriage or relationship or a modern and they kind of try to figure out which one is the healthiest, the better, the most benefit one. But all what you just asked me is depend quite a lot about the level of education we have and also the level of transition we're adapting at. And from my point of view, just make it short, I think I would say I would like to find the word just what mix both, because I think quite a lot of ladies nowadays, they have both traditional and modern in a certain way, but it's just this way of splitting the category between being traditional and adapting, being modern or being just modern. I've most agree with fact being traditional and have your own goals, follow your career, do whatever you can do the best and try to live the life at the best extent, because at the end of the day, I always like to say what you live with are the memories, right? The comfort.
Yes, I'm 100% with the memory thing. I'm all about that.
My big thing that I always tell women though is just it is important for you to have a skill, to have some sort of education, something, because look, you can't control other people's behavior, so you have to be able to take care of yourself and and to protect yourself and your children if something goes wrong. And I know that sounds like I'm undercutting marriage, but I just tell people, like, my father was in the Army, so we were all raised to be independent people. My mother was an extremely independent woman, but it's just that it is definitely, men can leave. Sorry, you could be with somebody for 40 years and they can leave. That's just how it is. So you got to be able to take care of yourself. And the other thing I will say is there is definitely a thing in the Western world that marriage has become for the upper classes. I do not know what they have done. There is a sociological thing I could go, we don't have time to go into, but it seems that only the upper classes get married, and it's like they discourage that for the lower classes. I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on here, and I don't know why they can't pick up on it, but I'm like, there's a reason they're doing this to you.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So this whole then what you just got done saying, that's my whole point, is that these guys that I get on here with look at me like cows at new gates when I say that to them, like, dude, where are y'all getting this from? Like, how did this trickle? It's no different to me than how I know it's coming from social media. It's coming from social. I mean, just think, ladies and gentlemen, think about
a long time
2 years ago, where whenever we was sitting there watching folks lose their complete minds, going into grocery stores, fighting over toilet paper
from COVID.
Look Look how
The toilet
the
paper.
social media was able to get the whole world going crazy over the C-19 getting toilet paper. People were being killed over a chicken sandwich. A chicken sandwich. So let alone
I did
this
not
position we're in right
understand
now, where we
the
have
thing
people
about
coming in here that are sitting there believing in this rhetoric and all this, like what you just mentioned about the elite people seem to be getting married, or the higher uppers, while the lower ones don't. But look at the message that they're pushing to the ones that I just told you guys about. I mean, to me, if you make 100K, you now in today's world, you kind of in the upper middle, first class like type deal. If you're making over 100K, so just think about that. Look who they're encouraging the people to marry. Don't go. Hey, if the man ain't making six figures, look, they're encouraging the people that, like you just said. To me, where I come from, 100K, you're wealthy. I mean, I worked hard, but I'm just saying.
I mean, in most of the United States, and
you're wealthy.
Unless you're in a major metro area on the coast, you're wealthy.
Yeah. So
like, I think what's going on here, there's an old book. This is a sociological book. It was really famous back in the day. It was called The Power Elite. It's called by a man called C. Wright Mills. And he talks about basically the governing classes in the United States and their aims and their ethos and who they are. And it's not a prescriptive book. He's just describing these people. Okay. And there is a lot of that control that people don't see. Yeah, they perceive it. Like, so when I get on Rumble and I'm seeing like this Fit and Fresh and all this stuff put in my face, I'm like, where's this coming from? Why now? Because I've noticed it's been really harsh in the last month and a half. I've been seeing this sort of stuff all over all sorts of platforms. I'm like, where's this coming from right now? Why is this happening?
Yeah, they're calling it the manosphere. Yeah.
Well, and it's some of it is just viral. It gets hot. It gets popular. But some of this, I'm sorry, it gets pushed for a reason, and people don't stop to think about, okay, why am I being shown this right now? And the other thing a lot of people don't know is, well, this stuff we do on these platforms, everybody knows they're tracking us, and they show these personalized ads. Mm-hmm. They can also induce you into behaviors without you realizing that's what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this famous example, Pokemon Go. They were putting special Pokemon in Starbucks and McDonald's without telling their user they were doing that. So they're walking over to Starbucks or walking over to McDonald's. They're basically being induced to do that without their knowledge. And people don't realize this happens all the time these days.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's just one of those deals where I do like challenges, and because this has come forth, that's why I'm on it, because I'm one of those people that I want to seek out the truth behind it, because there's always going to be a downfall, but no matter what, because I always rely on nature and everything, and whenever I did hit them with the nature aspect, a lot of people on the panel just kind of went silent on there. So, but again, anyway, I'm gonna get ready to shut this down here real quick. And I'm gonna probably go on another panel. I don't know which one I'm gonna go on yet, you guys. So I cannot tell y'all. I might not go on any. But Christina, you have any last words?
Yeah, just to say thank you. I think it was an amazing show. I've learned as well myself so many things, and I'm happy. So yeah, thank you, and I look forward to the next topic. Hopefully, I might be able to be in. Till then, you guys take a good care of yourself. Do your best, and just be happy wherever what you do. If it makes you happy,
Christina, hey, appreciate that,
the best version of yourself.
That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate you coming on, Christina. And then what I'll do too as well, I'll try to go live early if I'm able to. That way you don't have to be up so late where you're living at there. So
I appreciate it. Thank you. But anyway, it was a pleasure, it was an honor. And as I always like to say, be unique, be the best version of yourself, and just be you. That's the reason my name is on you, to be you. So be yourself. That's most important. With or without relationship, whatever what you do makes you happy, be yourself.
That's right. All right, Christina, you have a good night, sis.
Thank you. Good night. I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
I hope you find your unicorn. I hope you finally find this modern woman.
Me too. Maybe she back. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a particular day like the leprechaun coming out with the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow stuff. I don't know, but we'll see.
Maybe we missed it. Maybe it was Singles Day.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to add to this, Antonia?
Well, I would definitely say people need to think long and hard about some of the stuff they're watching and some of the stuff they choose to believe. It used to be like, even think about what we're considering high value here. We're talking about ultimately extremely materialistic things. Whereas, back in the day, like not even that long ago, high value would be something about your actual principles, moral principles and values. That's what it would be about. Okay. And I think that's what people need to focus on. Because like you can get into a relationship with somebody's a dime piece. You can get into a relationship with the status symbol, male or female, and you'll be unhappy later on when you find out this person is not what you thought they were, or you can't talk to them because there's nothing in their head. They find out they're a jerk, something like that. Yeah, so you've got to focus on more intangible things because that's going to be better for building a life. Another thing, like you can be poor and get married, people. You don't have to be rich to get married.
No. All right, sis. Well, hey, next time I go live, I'm pretty sure, like I told you, you're going to end up becoming one of the ones that folks going to probably look forward to seeing you on here, though. So be ready for it, because if you don't, people are going to be like, hey, where's Antonia? Where's Antonia? I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
I'll try to think of something. I'll try to think of something more interesting so I don't bore the people.
No, you're not boring nobody. I mean, it's good to have different. I love conversation, different opinions, different perspectives, and all that. So no, there's not.
I'm gonna go hunt.
Who cares about people?
I'm gonna hunt the modern woman.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if you can
find one.
I'm
gonna get my spear and hunt the modern woman.
If you catch one, please don't kill it. Let me know. I need it alive so I can extract.
I'm gonna bring it back.
All right, sis. You have a good night.
You too. Have fun.
All right. Shout out to Antonia, guys. Always adding in a different perspective in there, folks. This is what I like about this, is that you can always have people in here that don't agree, but just adding different perspectives in. And she definitely seems to be educated, definitely seems to be an intelligent woman and knows her stuff. She knows some of her history and all that. And and she was proud. You can tell she's proud of her knowledge and all the good stuff like that. Let her stick around. We see that she's going to end up building up a lot of more self-confidence and all that stuff like that, folks. To the ones that are out there listening to me right now, I appreciate you guys all being in here right now. If you guys some folks are wondering, these panels that I go on, Chaotic Truth is one of them. The other one is called Fight Club. Another one is called Black Man Unfiltered. Y'all like, what in the world is this dude talking about? No, there's quite a few on there because there's always some different topics, different topics, different things that they're talking about. Some of them things, you guys, is very entertaining when you hear all these different perspectives. It's very entertaining how funny some of the stuff is. And anyway, with that being said, guys, don't forget to hit that like button so this video can be circulated within the YouTube algorithm. Shout out and I appreciate all my moderators for being on here, holding it down, making sure we don't have no psychos in here and all that good stuff. God bless you guys for doing that. Everybody else, y'all know what I do. I'm Ty Smith, Model Renaissance Man, and I hope and pray that every last one of you guys have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I hope and pray that everyone is in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Say a prayer for Twitch and his family. God bless you all through Jesus.